That's the amazing thing about antiretroviral therapy, that it is, yes, you will have to take your medications for the rest of your life. You can expect to live a completely normal life. The epidemic really exploded in Zimbabwe during the decade of the 1990s, and HIV prevalence level reached nearly up to 30%, and that's an incredible thing for many people in the world to get their heads around. The death toll on the country was extraordinary, and I think the fact that the whole perspective on HIV has been able to be changed, and that's partly then through the scale up of the HIV treatment program. There was a tremendous effort made to decentralise the program, to make sure that more than 1,600 health facilities across the country could put people on antiretroviral therapy, and the real scale up of the program took hold. Around 900,000 Zimbabweans are on antiretroviral therapy. We estimate from UNAIDS that possibly there's 1.4, 1.5 million infections. So there's still a little way to go in terms of getting everyone on treatment. There's no single district of the country that doesn't have HIV there. But it's also the case that each district has its own particular characteristics. The type of economy and the type of movement of people is different in Victoria Falls from the rest of the country. It's also important as a border crossing. You see all the copper trucks going into Zambia. We have to be upfront, I think, about the fact that there's also a sex industry, which is driven in part by people who are in good employment, but also in part by tourists. And so we now need to really be thinking much more locally, down to the district level. What's driving the epidemic in the district? What's the response to the epidemic in the district? And I think that's part of, the success, and where we need really to take this question of the 1990s. The progress which has been made on the ground in communities in Zimbabwe against stigma is something we ought to celebrate, and we ought to say great progress has been made. Levels of stigma have greatly reduced. Part of the stigma as it's being experienced is actually it's possibly affecting men more than it is women. If they are infected with HIV, going on treatment, suppressing viral load, that's something which, they're actually making a contribution then by, in fact, looking after their health in that way. That means that they're not going to get sick and be a burden on the health system. That means, frankly, it means that they can have sex without condoms, and that's actually, for many men, also quite a benefit. So I think that there are real and practical benefits from making sure that the last barriers of stigma are overcome.